Hello there, Gung Ho Guns here, and welcome back to my channel, folks. Today we're diving headfirst into the wild world of Tarisland with this PvE guide for the Shadow Swordsman Duel Spec. Per request, I am going to give you guys what I've been using and what's been really successful for me. I know what you're thinking. Why not cunning? Well, because we're rebels. And two, I have already done one, and it's still really good. You can find it by clicking here. Go ahead and check it out and let me know what you think. Anyway, we're here for Duel Spec, right? With a few tweaks, this build can actually pack a punch. I've done some raids earlier and last night as well, and I clocked in over 2600 to 3200 damage per raid. Not too shabby, right? So buckle up, because I'm going to show you how to make this work. For those of you playing on your phone and maybe are overwhelmed by the game mechanics and raids, I know it can be a little crazy in there. I got a nifty little macro that I'm going to share with you as well that's going to make this a whole lot easier. So let's get it. So today we're going to do things just a little differently. We're going to cook our stats depending on where you're at in the game and what gear you currently have. I'm going to do this with you, and I'm going to show you how you can actually do this by yourself as well. First up, let's take a look at our talent trees, and we'll just go from there. I know, you're like, oh, there's nothing in there. It's as barren as the Sahara Desert, but don't worry. We're going to build it together. It's all part of the plan, I promise you. There's a certain thing that I want you to first do, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So, first things first, we're only going to put in this right here and this for right now, just so we can unlock number 12 slot here, and there's a certain thing that we're going to look for next. So, first goal is right here, is to look at this passive called Weakness Insight. Our goal or our target is going to be to reach 42% crit rate. Okay, we're going to stop with the build right now here with the talent trees because we have to use our stones to coordinate this as well. There's a certain method you want to do here. So first thing we're going to do now is, or second thing I should say, is we're going to go ahead and pull up our Inscribed stones. So as you can see right here as well, pretty barren. So, but don't worry, again, part of the plan. We're going to go ahead and we're going to build it together. First, let's take care of the crit. Our second goal is going to be the Omni or cooldown, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's get the crit done. So again, first thing that you always do when you come to your Inscribed stones is you unlock the 5 emblems. So from the bottom, I'm just going to put one where we need it. So one there, one there, one there. Got this unlocked. Got the second one unlocked. All right, got the third one unlocked, and then one here and one here. Now we have all of them unlocked that we need. We have the 5 emblems. This is what's really going to make you strong, and nothing else. So now we're going to coordinate these two together, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. Now again, based on your gems, make sure that you look at your gems, you load them up with the stuff that you have, based on your current gear, and everything else is fully buffed before you come here. Again, really quick before we continue, let's just quickly jump down to Omni or cooldown. Again, the second goal is to get the first or second tier of one or the other. There's no reason for you to get both, and this is according to the game developers and the beta testers and all these people that have played this for a while now. You either want Omni or cooldown. You do not want both. It's impossible for you to level both. It's not going to help you at all. So get one or the other, depending on where you're at. I believe that the cooldown is more beneficial for the swordsman. Unfortunately, if I look at it right here, my Omni is just a little bit better, and a lot of the gems that I had, along with the gear, had Omni in it. So I'm gonna work on my Omni as well. But it's just so you kind of pay attention to what we're gonna do here. So again, we're just gonna stop here, and we're gonna go back to crit, and we're gonna now get our crit to 42%. So how do we get crit up? Well, we have a crit right here. Okay. Now the two that you really want to focus on is these two right here. And the reason for that is they're right next to a emblem spot. What that means is that we can actually manipulate it just a little bit. So let's work on this one first. So you're going to click the right side, and you're going to click this little filter here, and you're going to click the very last one, additional effect. And again, your damage, so purple. You're going to click this here, and what we're going to look for is upper left. Confirm. Search. So these are all the emblems that you have that can go in there. That's going to boost this one by 50%. So again, you can pick whichever you like. There's really, no wrong answer as long as they're damaged because you're a damage class, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to just pick my strongest and go from there. I think I'm going to take that one right there. Perfect. All right, then we're going to boost it up. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Again, you just go in here, take that one out, and you're going to put upper right. And confirm. And now we have this one. Now, because we put 3 and 3 here and they're 50% stronger or give you more, now we can going to go back in here and we're going to check where we are at. So we are at 39.3%. Again, each one of these in here, in the inscribed stones, they give you 0.5 of a percent whenever you put it in. Just keep that in mind as well. So again, you have to then coordinate what you want to do next here. You want to kind of look at what you have with your stones to get your Omni, or your cooldown, depending if these are a little higher. Mine are very low, so I have to sacrifice in my build to make it work. And again, I did this before. I'm just kind of going over because I did the math before. But what you want to do is, if this is a little bit higher, because we can boost it by 2%, but 3% based on the current gear that I have is a little hard. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and put 3 right here, and every class has this. It will increase the rate by 3%. So I am, as you can see, 42%. Now, I have reached my first goal. So now my second goal is to get my Omni up. And we're going to do this the same way we just did. Now, I know you're thinking, well, how are you going to do that? Where are all the Omnis located? Well, this is an Omni. So is this. And so is this over here. So the first one we're going to do is this one right here on the very top right. And we're going to do the same thing we did. We're going to take that off and we're going to ask for a upper right. Confirm. And again, you can play with these, find the ones that you like. I really like Control Fates. It's one of my favorite emblems, so I always use it. And again, it's really up to you which ones you want to use, but I'm just going to use this one for example right now. We're going to pop it up by 3, and we're going to kind of see where we are at, 4.89. So now we're going to go back down, and we're going to play with this a little bit. Now, 1 second here. What we're going to do is we're going to boost this one by 3. We're going to see where we're at. We just need a little bit more. So we're going to boost that one. Give it a second. And there it is. So just like that, we're over that 6%, and now we have our full Swift Strike combo and the extra damage that we're going to get from it. So that is how you cook to get the your stats to get the perfect inscribed stone setup based on what you have, right? So what to do next, right? What are you going to do next, and how are you going to finish this up? So, going back down, it's very important that we work on the cores. They just provide you a lot more, crit damage, especially with this class. It's very important. So, what I like to do here is I like to get this core done, and we're just going to put all three in here. Boom, got it. So that core is done. I'm going to then scroll up a little bit here. I'll give you guys a second to catch up. And then, as we kind of go up, we're going to start filling in. So this one right here, we're going to go ahead and fill that in as well. We're going to then just change this around, remove this, and we're going to look for damage ones, confirm. So now we're going to take all the ones that we're not using. So, we're going to, as you see, we are using the burst, we're using the auto control, and we're using the Intertwined Fates. Now we're going to just kind of fill it up. So Sprawl is good, and I personally also like Invasion. But again, you can choose whichever. Strive is just as good. So this is kind of my setup that I use. And again, keeping with the stats. Here, let me do this one more time because it's bugged. I think it's still beta. So this is just to kind of show you that it's full 4, and the dual one is set up as well. So now let's finish this up. As you can see, we are ready now for the next one. So let's go back to our build, and let's get the build done officially now that we have what we needed. So again, depending on where your gear is at, you're going to be either getting 1 or 2 or 3 here, or none at all. Again, depending on what you need. Now let's go back and put the rest of the points in. So again, this right here is my full build. So this is once again how you would build your subscribe stones and your build together to mesh with your current gear. So after all of this, we're now ready for the rotation and actually how to play this class. So let's go ahead and get to that. All right, now how do we play this class again? Well, don't worry, we're gonna go over it. First, what I want you to do is take a look at this little icon here, this Shuriken in the middle of your screen. I moved it to the side just to make it a little easier to see. I want you to pay attention to this little red part right here on the very top of it. That is the sweet spot, or the weakness as they call it. The north one will always be red, and what you want to do is you want to use your hardest hitting moves in that spot. If you do that, that certain move that you use in here will do 40% more damage. Now, based on our build and our talents and the way that these moves work, there will be others that light up as well along with the north one. That just means that the weaknesses are being found on the enemy, and when you use your move in the red spot, you're going to get that big damage bonus. So as you kind of look at the little knife inside it, uh, every time you use one of your hitting moves, it's going to move it by 1 or 2 points in there. And it works like this. I'm just going to use my basic attack here, Assault, and it's going to move it once at a time. So let's try that. There we go. 1, 2. As you kind of see, it's moving it 1 by 1. And you see he added a second weakness. And so that's how that works. So that is your Assault. And again, it moves it by 1. It moves the dial by 1 on there. Now your second move, and it's called your Swift Strike, and it's the one that we went heavily in up here. We have 2 charges on it, and what this actually does is it moves it twice. So if you look something like this, see how you kind of moved it twice? Same thing, it moved it twice. So that's how that one works. So finally, we're now to the execute part, which is our third one, our Furious Strike. This is the one that you pretty much always want to use within the weakness or the sweet spot, because this is your hardest hitting move and it's going to give you the most damage. So again, we already kind of built and stopped it. So if you find it in there, you would execute it again with your Furious Strike, just like that. And you see it's like a massive hit. So that is the essence of how to play this class. You're going to move the dial in the Shuriken with your Assault and your Swift Strike as you're moving it around to the sweet spot until Furious Strike, and then you can execute it. I know this sounds very complicated, but don't worry, guys. I actually have a macro that I made that will do all of this for you. We'll talk about that in a second. I want to actually talk about the one that we do have to pay attention to quite a bit is our number 4, our Frenzy Throw. Now, this is used as an opener, and what it does is after it lands, it turns all the marks on the shuriken, all the points on the shuriken, it turns it into a weakness spot for about 8 seconds. Based on our, it's initially 6, but based on our talents, we're going to boost it to 8 seconds. So as this turns it, you kind of turn into a frenzy zone for that 8 seconds. Everything that you do is going to be 40% more damage. So the way that we coordinate this is I try to, as I'm kind of going through my rotation, I will try to leave my Furious Strike and my Swift Strike, or have them be available as this cooldown is getting down to 5 seconds or 4 seconds. Because I will use this move right at the shuriken point, and then I will do all the other moves right after it, and that is just like a massive amount of damage that you do afterwards. I'm actually going to show you the opener because it's like the best way to do it, and you can actually see it that way. Let me just go ahead and move the dial really quick to the north side, just so you would, we would say that this is where you had it, and this is where you're going to use your frenzy throw. So we're just going to move it to the north, and then we will go from there. All right. So let's say you are in the middle of your rotation. As you see, it's on the north side, and it's time to use your frenzy throw. So you would use your buff frenzy throw, and then you see that 8 seconds, and then you would just use all of your highest hitting maneuvers in there, and you can see all the damage that it does. Just because it's in that frenzied zone, that it turns everything to a weakness, everything just does a lot more damage. So going now back to the other move that we used that we didn't talk about, our Thirst Battle, our number 6. I will actually move it to number 5 here in a second. Thirst Battle is your class buff, and because of our passives, it's increased, and whenever you use it, you get a big boost of damage. On top of that, it reduces the cooldown of Frenzy Throw as well. So it's pretty fun little move. It is the cooldown is quite big on it, so I try to coordinate it with my attacks as well, or at least with my Furious Attack Execute if I can. Going back on number 5, our Blades of Chaos. This is your class AoE. Out of all the classes, I think this is the weakest AoE. Its cooldown is 24 seconds and is the only one that doesn't actually give you that cooldown back. So we're actually going to use it as part of your frenzy state. So normally the way you would do this is after you enter your frenzy state, you get all your shuriken points ready. You have 8 seconds. You would spam Furious Attack, your Swift Strikes, you have 2 of them, and your Assaults until you're down to about 2.5 seconds left, and then you would use your Blades of Chaos because again, all the points will be in the frenzied state. So your Blades of Chaos will do 40% more damage, and it actually is quite a bit of damage because it will hit your opponent many different times. So let me demonstrate one more time how I would do this. Now I'm not going to, I will actually open up with Assault just to kind of get it into the red state, and then I will use Frenzy Throw, and then I will use the rest of my moves along with Blades of Chaos. And again, I will slow it down and I'll put on the screen the actual moves that I use and go from there. Now imagine if you see the dial here, it is on this part of the shuriken. So I'm going to first get it to the red, and then I will go from there. So here we go. So it's 1, 1, 2. Here we go. And then we're going to use our, and then as you see, quite a bit of damage that you can do with that rotation. And that is essentially how you want to coordinate all your attacks together. So let's go back to it one more time. You want to use your assault and you want to use your swift strike to move the dial in the shuriken. You want to use your frenzy throw as priority number 1 for the execute. If it's on cooldown, you're going to then use your furious strike as the second execute. And if both of those are on cooldown, then you're going to use your swift strike as the last effort to actually go ahead and use that as your execute as well. So again, priority frenzy throw. If it's on cooldown, use furious strike. If that's on cooldown, you're going to use your swift strike in the weakness spot. That is essentially the full rotation and how to play this class together. But again, I know this sounds super complicated. So what we're going to do is we're going to make things a little easier for everybody. It took me a little bit to kind of get this together, but I finally did it. And it is my macro right here. Do not use the recommended one. I do not recommend this. The reason for that is I find that your furious strike, like 4 out of 10 times, will be used out of position. It will not be used in the weakness spot or the sweet spot. So I went ahead and I hit the dummy for about 3 hours trying to find it perfect to avoid using furious strike outside that window. So this is my macro. Again, I'm going to go slowly. Feel free to copy it down, and there we go. So again, what this is going to do it one more time for you. This is going to do the full rotation for you from start to finish. It will not use furious strike unless you are in a weakness position, or if you are in your frenzy state, or finally, if you used your incredible stone skill or inscribed stone skill and you're in that mode, that's when it's going to start using that as well. If you're not in any of those, it will not use your furious attack at all. It will just move the dial with your assault and your swift strike. I also have it right here in the fourth position, and what that means is that your swift strike will also be used as an execute if it lands on that or if it's close to it. So again, this took me a little bit to get this macro perfect. Feel free to copy it and give it a shot. I definitely recommend running macros, especially if you're newer to the class or newer to raiding. There's just a lot of mechanics right now, and if you don't have to pay attention to your builder, spender rotation, you can just focus on a few things. It's gonna make things super easy. The one thing that you do have to pay attention to is your frenzy throw. It is not in there. Again, you just wanna, as soon as it is 1 minute cooldown, so you don't have to keep an eye on it the entire time. But as soon as it drops down to 10 seconds on the cooldown meter, you want to then kind of coordinate your shuriken and then start leaving these moves available, because you want to make sure that you are going to use this in the weakness spot, and you'll have the rest of these moves available to you to use. So that is the duel spec for the Shadow Swordsman. This is how I've been playing it, and like I said, in the last couple of raids that I ran, we did way over 3k damage, but again, I am a little bit more geared now. But as when I was doing it last night, and that's the video that I chose to include in the recording earlier, that was when I only had 5 pieces of the set gear. And I was clocked in at 2600 damage. Now I'm way over the 3400 point. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you give this a try. And I will see you in the next one. Have a great evening.